It's 1:45 in the morning, September 15th, 2008. In a bankruptcy court in Lower Manhattan, a 158-year-old investment bank signs its own death certificate. By sunrise, $639 billion in assets will be gone. 25,000 people will be out of work, and the global economy will start to crack in half. It didn't take a year. It didn't even take a month. It took a weekend. This is the story of how Lehman Brothers fell, and the one man who, when he was handed a way out, said no. To understand the size of the crater, you have to understand what fell into it. Lehman Brothers was founded in 1850 by a Bavarian immigrant named Henry Lehman, starting as a small cotton trading shop in Alabama. Over 158 years, it became a pillar of American finance. It survived the railroad panics of the 1800s. It survived the Great Depression. It survived the collapse of long-term capital management in 1998.
By 2008, Lehman was the fourth largest investment bank in the United States, 25,000 employees, offices around the world, an institution so woven into the system that people assumed the system could never let it die. And standing on top of all of it, a man named Richard Fuld. Everyone called him the gorilla. He joined the firm in 1969 as a commercial paper trader. He'd run it since 1994. He was Lehman, and Lehman, for a long time, was him. So how does a 158-year-old fortress die in 48 hours? It doesn't. It dies over years, and then everyone notices on the same weekend. By 2008, Lehman had quietly turned itself into something its founders wouldn't have recognized. Investigators would later describe it as a real estate hedge fund wearing an investment bank suit. It was holding around $60 billion in mortgage and real estate assets, the kind no one could confidently price anymore. And it had borrowed, catastrophically.
Lehman sat on roughly $680 billion in assets, supported by only about $22 billion of the firm's own capital. That's leverage of more than 30 to 1. In plain English, for every dollar of its own money, it had bet 30 of someone else's. If those bets moved even a little, the entire firm could be wiped out. The warning came in March 2008 when a rival, Bear Stearns, collapsed in a matter of days and was shoved into J.P. Morgan's arms with the Federal Reserve's help. Every bank on Wall Street got a clear look at the cliff. Most pulled back. Lehman didn't. Through the spring and summer, the losses mounted. Lehman posted a $2.8 billion quarterly loss. It scrambled to raise $6 billion. Warren Buffett was offered a deal. He passed. There were talks with the Korea Development Bank. They went nowhere.
And at the center of all of it sat Dick Fuld, proud, stubborn, convinced the firm was worth more than the market was offering. He had buyers circling. He had lifelines. He refused to sell at what he called a discount. He held out for a better number. That decision, to wait, is the hinge the whole story turns on. September. On September 9th, the Korea Development Bank walked away for good. Lehman's stock dropped 45% in a single day. On September 10th, Lehman pre-announced a $3.9 billion quarterly loss and unveiled a plan to spin off its toxic real estate. The market didn't buy it. The stock kept falling. Now the clock becomes a weekend. On the morning of Saturday, September 13th, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Hank Paulson, summoned the CEOs of Wall Street's biggest banks to the New York Federal Reserve. The mission? Find someone, anyone, to take Lehman off life support.
And Paulson delivered a message that would decide everything. This time, there would be no government backstop, no taxpayer money, not like Bear Stearns. Two buyers circled, Bank of America and Barclays of London. Both wanted the same thing, a guarantee, some shield against Lehman's rotten assets. Paulson had just told them there would be none. Bank of America walked. And in walking, it reached for something shinier, Merrill Lynch, which it would announce a rescue deal for that very Monday. That left Barclays. And for a few hours, there was hope. But Barclays needed approval from its own regulators in London, and the UK's Chancellor, Alistair Darling, refused to clear it. He was not going to let British taxpayers swallow the losses of an American bank's bad bets. No buyer, no bailout, no backstop. By Sunday night, the room was empty. 1:45 a.m., Monday, September 15th. Lehman Brothers Holdings files for Chapter 11. $639 billion in assets. $619 billion in debt.
The largest bankruptcy in the history of the United States, bigger by far than WorldCom or Enron before it. 25,000 employees wake up to learn their firm is gone. Many of them hear it the way the rest of the world did, on television. By morning, they're clearing their desks, carrying cardboard boxes out of the building as cameras roll. When the market opens, Lehman's stock plunges 93% from dollars to cents. And then the damage escapes the building. The Federal Reserve has to pump roughly $45 billion a day into Lehman's trading arm just to keep the plumbing of Wall Street running. Global markets seize. A money market fund breaks the buck. Its value falls below $1, and a quiet panic begins. Credit freezes from New York to London to Tokyo. By the time the dust settled, the collapse had erased close to $10 trillion in global market value.
And within weeks, the United States Congress would pass a $700 billion bank bailout, the number most people actually remember from that autumn. That's the $700 billion, not what Lehman lost, what it cost everyone else to clean up. On October 6, 2008, Dick Fuld sat before Congress and said the words every fallen king says. He took full responsibility. The word "but" followed shortly after. He said he'd made decisions with the information he had. There were other images, too. Reports that Fuld transferred a $13.75 million Florida mansion to his wife for $100. A story widely told that he was punched in the face in Lehman's gym in the final days. He was never charged with a crime. Many of the people who lost everything never got their money back. Retirees, pension funds, the firm's own employees who'd held stock.
The firm that survived the Civil War, the Great Depression, and a century of panics died because of a balance sheet full of things no one could price. And one man who, when he was handed the door, refused to walk through it. Leverage, pride, and a weekend. 25,000 jobs, $10 trillion, one weekend. If you've never heard how Lehman actually went down, now you have. Subscribe to Downfall, new true story of a collapse, every week. Next time, the founder who was worth $9 billion on paper and zero 6 months later. I'll see you for that one.